what does justice look like? Maybe for the next episode we can talk about what kind of justice might look like.
Well,
Because
I was actually about to suggest maybe we go into that conversation because I have thoughts and theories about that side of it more than I do the other stuff. Like I don't remember where it was, but I saw an article not long before we started recording talking about how he's fighting extradition to New York, and even though it's kind of a Hail Mary and doubtful that he would win that appeal anyway, or win that fight, it sparked a few thoughts. One of those thoughts being, we've already seen how effective delaying tactics can be in
healthcare.
Well played. I was actually going to go with the president-elect on this one. And call that reference, but yes, well played. But we've seen how effective delaying tactics are in a number of things. And fighting extradition gives you time. It gives you time to put together a coherent story, a narrative, gives you time to talk to people. And I don't mean necessarily the suspect in this case as much as his legal counsel trying to put together a strategy. And that's perfectly fine. It's using the system the way it should be used instead of giving into potential snap decisions in the heat of the moment. I feel like that is something that should happen more often with regard to the common cases and less often with regard to the high-profile cases than they currently happen. Like that's inversed. The common person typically can't afford ways to add some time and prolong and get some strategy sessions, etc. But that's a digression for another day. Where I was going with this, though, is thinking about what I would lobby for if I were attempting to craft a defense is where my mind went when I was reading that article. And I really think the mental health angle is your best play with trying to at least reduce charges, if not even manage to get some dropped. Full disclosure, I sincerely doubt there's any way he could be acquitted of all charges just in general. But
we could have a president pardon him.
Yeah, I mean that would be one way.
I if you don't mind, I would like to interject a short conversation about that, and maybe we can talk about presidential pardons after this. Yeah,
well, let's add. We can go into that in just a minute. I just want to finish the thought on this particular case first, because when I was thinking about that trajectory, trying to just kind of finally formulate how I felt on the issue altogether, brought me to that question of what would justice look like in this case, in my opinion. And I don't have a really good answer, but I have what I think is kind of what I settled on personally as this would be the outcome I would be okay with in general, which would be some level of assistance and help from a mental health perspective, because to me it's clear that that's an issue. Unfortunately, I would say that life incarceration is probably on the table, even though I truly despise life sentences. But at the same time, that's just a feature of our criminal justice system that is not going to go away as long as we continue to believe in deterrence theory as a working thing in spite of all of the evidence to the contrary. And so my thought would be, what I settled on was life in prison is probably what is going to be the sentence, even if it's not necessarily fair. It's probably just in this case. And then whatever level of assistance for treating any mental issues that are there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think a life sentence is at all appropriate.
And we can go into why I despise life sentences if we need to, but the general gist is just that
they don't work.
Well, you're not doing anything but costing taxpayer money as well to keep somebody in prison. Like if we're gonna actually leverage a prison system, let's leverage it for reform and actually do what we claim we're doing.
I agree. It does not work. It does not deter people. It doesn't work either. It doesn't reform. It doesn't fix the problem, and it doesn't prevent the problem. It's just a way to exploit the working class. It is another form of exploitation by and large. It's hard to see past the exploitation that's happening based on how the penal system is or the final step or the final stage of the penal system is architected. So it doesn't. Simply it doesn't work. It doesn't work the way we want it. The way a civilized society should.
It does.
Yes. So yeah, I don't think this is beneficial to him. I don't think it's beneficial to anybody. What does justice look like to you?
In general, or in this case?
In this case.
Like if we were actually to, like, instead of what do I think the outcome will be, what would I actually change the system to make?
I guess maybe let me give you maybe ask it in a different way, because it's like, what does justice? It's too broad of a question, and I guess maybe a better question is like, if you were a juror on the case, and not just knowing the things that you do know today, which compared to the end of a trial, we're both relatively uninformed. But it doesn't seem. It doesn't seem hard to me to say yes. He must be convicted of murder, but I'm not familiar. I guess I'm not familiar enough with our legal system to know. There are some cases where the jury has some amount of some part in what the punishment looks like, and sometimes it's the judge. So I'm not sure when the judge is the person that decides, and I'm not sure when the jury is part of the decision making for sentencing.
It's determined by the state for their offenses. So if it's a federal offense, it's determined by the U.S. government. If it's not a federal offense, it's determined by the jurisdiction in which the charges are brought forth.
So why is it a state crime and not a city crime?
It might be a city crime. I don't know exactly whether it was charged by the state or by the city of New York. I didn't look that close.
And then why is it? So even then, why is it not a federal crime? Because it happened in the United States.
Yeah,
I mean, I know. I kind of know the answer. I'm asking, tongue in cheek. It's like,
that all depends on the agency in question and whether they've been mandated to.
It's a bunch of jurisdiction bullshit.
For example, let's use terrorism as an example, because that's an easy one to point to. The FBI investigates terrorism, so any terrorist claims or allegations or charges would always be filed in federal court.
I have a friend who was just to throw it. I have a friend who was he received federal charges. He was arrested by the FBI because when you do something illegal and cross state lines, it automatically becomes federal.
Yes.
And what's funny, I'm not sure if it was at a state level or a federal level, which might have been my automatic. He wouldn't have had to cross state lines, but I do know he crossed state lines for this. But he was trapping and removing either federally or state protected turtles. to sell, and he was picked up by the FBI.
It's kind of funny.
It's hilarious. He's got a good long story, and I think the he didn't serve any jail time, but the sentencing was pretty clever. So I wish I could remember. Maybe I'll do some go back and ask him. It's been a while since I've heard the story, but I just remember. I just was very amused by it.
and you point to something that's also a further problem with regard to our system, the way it stands, is that every jurisdiction also has its own code that it can levy charges from. So you could have, for example, with this particular case, I know that one of the charges was like criminal possession of a firearm or something to that effect. And that may or may not be a charge that could be brought in another jurisdiction. That might be something that's local to either state or city of New York. And district attorneys use that to their advantage when charging or filing charges and using everything possible they can to put as much on the table as possible as a bargaining chip because of the way our criminal justice system works. Because if they can put 10 charges down for one offense, then they could, be lenient or nice and strike off 3 or 4 charges in a plea deal, et cetera, et cetera. We talk about the problems with corporations and maximizing profit, and we've talked about the backside of the criminal justice system with the exploitation of people in incarceration. But it happens at the beginning too. The entire system, even though it's not necessarily maximized for profit from a monetary or financial perspective, even though you can make some arguments there, it's still the same mindset. It's still maximizing profit in the form of gains for the person initiating the action at the expense of the other side. This is it's in, I'm trying not to use the word, but you can't really help it. It's endemic to the fabric of our country. It's in everything we do, and we continue to try to ignore any arguments that prove that mindset wrong.
I had various thoughts here.
I actually don't know for sure if I even answered your question. I got off on a little bit of a tangent there.
That's okay.
Did I?
I'm not sure.
There's another way of me seeking validation, even though I don't really seek validation.
No, I know.
What's the better way to phrase that?
You're just seeing if I had more questions. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and I'm okay. I'm okay continuing this conversation, but it's just.
But I do want to toss out, if taking this case as an example, what truly would be the proper outcome for something like this if we didn't play within the rules. If we didn't play within the rules of our current system, I could answer that. That would be far more wide-ranging and encompassing than anything our current system would do, because it would require investigation into the root cause, which a general person knows the root cause, and would require change at that level, in addition to change for how you would actually attempt to reform individuals with regard to violent crime, because there's definitely a different approach there than there would be for nonviolent crime.
So I don't think there will be justice. I don't think it's possible.
I agree.
Because we have two there. I don't want to say that the system is broken, because it's not that the system is broken. It's that there are many systems that are broken.
I kind of want to argue that statement real quick. I don't think it's that any systems are broken. I think the systems were misguided when created. I think the systems themselves are working exactly as they were designed. I just don't think they were good systems.
I agree with you. The systems were not meant to do what They were never designed to do what they want us to believe they do, which really sounds like a conspiracy theorist statement.
Well, I think we can change that pretty easily. The systems have never been changed or evolved in the wake of new knowledge.
I do remember the thought that I had, yes, because they were never meant to do. They were never about justice.
Well, I would argue they were. You know, the original inception, I would argue, was an attempt to codify what it meant to provide justice, and it was just wrong.
So they were about justice for 5 minutes.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
But no, you know where I'm going with it. It's like I do. Like many things, I think a lot of systems are in place and designed with the intention to do something good, and the problem is that they're never reevaluated or changed in the wake of new information, just like the American people and beliefs and opinions, et cetera, et cetera.
I think that the thought that I had that I wanted, it was a dumb joke I wanted to make about when you were talking about illegally possessing a firearm, and I just wanted to say something to the effect of, it just sounds like somebody wants to trample his Second Amendment rights. It doesn't really fit in this part of the conversation, but I was going to lose it again. I think I was going to lose it again if I didn't say it.
But I do appreciate it because it still does fit. Like it goes back to the same concept. It's something that was created and put into effect that was never reevaluated in the wake of additional information. And that, you know, I'm trying to even get it down to a single sentence and really dumbify it just because it seems like a fun mantra to try to get to. Because why not, you know? But even though I recognize it's far more difficult and far more nuanced than I'm trying to make it out to be, but I'm trying to make it that dumb of a statement because we have talked about the same general mentality being a problem in so many different arenas that I don't know how else you can say it without it being a really dumb, simple slogan and actually get somewhere unless you choose violence. And I mean, full disclosure, I'm not opposed to violence based on my extracurricular activities, but that doesn't mean that I want to choose violence to effect change. I don't think that should be an option. My preference for violence is in, you know, competing or...
it's consensual.
Yes. And there's even though there is a willingness to engage in violence as a result of that mindset that drives enjoyment of those activities, that's not the same as choosing to go initiate violence against someone to try to effect a drastic change because of something like this. I still have a misguided place or faith in trying to effect change in society without violence that for some reason or another has not been stamped out of me in 45 years.
We have a number of different ways set up for you to get in touch with us to provide feedback, ask questions, or just comment in about something we've discussed.
You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at untitled_hosts, or shoot an email over to untitled.hosts@gmail.com.
Or get in touch directly with Jesse at jthart.com, or get in touch with me, John, via telepathy.
If you would like to support our work or are interested in listening to our new after show feed, head over to patreon.com/theUntitledPodcast and take a look at the options we have set up.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed the show.
And we hope to connect with more of you as we continue this journey.
That's a wrap.